The Big Three continued to dominate the Xfinity Series. Stewart-Haas Racing finally finds its footing, and the most exciting New Hampshire race in recent Cup Series memory. All today on the fifth turn. Everybody, my name is CJ Ward and welcome into the fifth turn. Let's recap all the NASCAR action from New Hampshire Motor Speedway this weekend in Loudon, New Hampshire. It was a pretty good weekend of racing all around. A lot of big storylines in both series that we're racing this weekend. Let's go ahead and start off with the Xfinity Series. Once again, it was the Big Three. You had Christopher Bell, Cole Custer, Tyler Reddick, dominating the race very early once again. The two names that immediately jumped out to me during the course of this race were actually two part-timers, Harrison Burton in the 18 and Kaz Grala in the 21. Ironically, the teammates to two out of the Big Three. They had some great races going. Running up front, top 5, top 10, a lot of this race, those two were having great days. The guy who wasn't having such a great day is buddy John Hunter Nemechek in the 23 for GMS Racing. More bad luck continues for that team. They've run well. They've had speed. Again, John Hunter's got that car consistently running up front, closer to the top 10 than the car has ever run before. They just can't seem to close out a race, and consistently the past few weeks they've had, unfortunately, a lot of bad luck, and that continued this weekend with him losing brakes and backing it into the fence. But the guy who had been having bad luck the past couple of weeks, who seemed to finally turn some things around this week, was Brandon Jones in the 19 for Joe Gibbs Racing. Finally had a good week, won the first stage, and had a solid top 10 by the end of the day. So great job, Brandon Jones, finally starting to turn some things around for that team. He was able to win stage 1. Christopher Bell won stage 2, so it was pretty much a Joe Gibbs Racing dominated day. You had a very intense battle pretty late in the race. I believe it was in stage 3, with Chase Briscoe in the 98, Austin Cindric in the 22, and Harrison Burton in the 18. Those three were just going at it. But up front, Christopher Bell, just absolutely untouchable. Nobody could get anywhere near him. He took off just to an insane lead. Probably the biggest story of the day, and something that was very avoidable, was the intentional wreck late in stage 3 when Paul Menard in the 12, the only Cup driver in the field, went up and wrecked Harrison Burton in the 18. And Menard just took him out, and he even said so. He was like, he hit me twice, so I hit him once. Just took him out. But even with previous contact, that was totally uncalled for, and it really stinks that the only Cup driver in the entire field, who was having a pretty mediocre day, had to just ruin the phenomenal day of an 18-year-old kid just trying to make a name for himself. That was really sad to see. I thought better of Paul Menard. They talked immediately after the race and had a disagreement, and I gained a lot of respect for Harrison Burton as a young driver, because he basically said, "Look, I don't care that you're a Cup driver, and I've got rookie stripes on my Xfinity car and my truck." He's like, I don't care. I'm here to race. I'm here to win. I'm not gonna stand for you just taking me out like that. So gained a lot of respect for him. But in the end, it was an easy win by Christopher Bell in the 20. I believe it's his 5th win of the year. Again, just the Big Three are just running away with the Xfinity Series this year. Cole Custer and Christopher Bell both have 5 wins apiece. Uh, Tyler Reddick has, I want to say, 3 or 4. And the only other Xfinity Series regular to win this year is Michael Annett, who won at Daytona in February. And the only other winners on the season are Kyle Busch and Ross Chastain. So they are just dominating this year, and hopefully we could start to see some other guys getting up there and challenging, maybe a Chase Briscoe, maybe an Austin Cindric, guys like that. Series regulars who are looking for something good to happen. But I mean, all in all, it was a bit of a yawner as far as a race, just because nobody could challenge the leader. Whoever the leader was could get out to a massive lead. So it was pretty much a runaway win for Christopher Bell in the Joe Gibbs Racing 20. Before I move on to the Cup Series, you saw in the beginning of this video, very, very sad news. Justin Haley's crew chief of the number 11 for Kaulig Racing, Nick Harrison, passed away in his sleep unexpectedly Saturday night. He crew chiefed the car, no problem, on Saturday. Got it to a top 15 finish, and suddenly passed away Saturday night. And it was cool Sunday morning to see all of the tributes pour in on social media. They dedicated a moment of silence to him in the opening ceremonies of the race, and on social media. I mean, basically everyone that you could possibly think of was sending out tributes on social media, saying, I worked with Nick, such a great guy, second to none in the garage, and just unbelievable. Just the ones that I saw and retweeted as I scroll through my my Twitter feed. Elliott Sadler put out a tribute. Let me see here. Yeah, Elliott Sadler put out one. Jamie Little, Brandon Jones, NASCAR on Reddit. There it is. Brad Keselowski, Regan Smith, Kenny Wallace, Atlanta Motor Speedway, Jeff Burton, Mark Martin, Texas Motor Speedway, Bristol Motor Speedway, Bubba Wallace, Tony Gibson, Stephen Parsons, Jeff Gluck, Dave Burns, Richard Childress Racing, Casey Kane, PRN, New Hampshire Motor Speedway, Xfinity Racing, Pocono Raceway, David Starr, David Reagan, Spire Motorsports, Winston Kelly, Travis Quapple, Brandon McReynolds, Reed Sorensen, Brett Griffin, Michael Waltrip, Grant Enfinger, JD Motorsports, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Chris Rice, Vince Welch, Hermie Sadler, Todd Bodine, Bob Pockris, Adam Alexander, Jeff Green, Greg Galding, Eddie DeHaan, Brian Keselowski, Matt Tifft, Claire B. Lang, John Hunter Nemechek, Noah Gragson, Tyler Reddick, Alex Bowman, Michael McDowell, there's NASCAR on NBC, William Byron, Kurt Busch, AJ Allmendinger, Corey LaJoie, Austin Dillon, Daniel Hemrick, Justin Haley, Kaz Grala, and then the official statement from Kaulig Racing. Ross Chastain also put one out. So, and those are just the ones that I happened to see and retweet Sunday morning. So he was very well loved in the Cup Series, or in the Cup Series Xfinity Series garage. Worked with so many different drivers. Has, I believe, 5 Xfinity Series wins with Kurt Busch, Austin Dillon, a couple of other people. So he will be very, very deeply missed. All right, let me go ahead and run through the finishing order of the Xfinity Series. Christopher Bell takes the win. Cole Custer second. Justin Allgaier third. Fourth is Tyler Reddick. Fifth is Paul Menard. Sixth is Chase Briscoe. Seventh, Ryan Truex. Eighth is Ryan Sieg. Another phenomenal top 10 for Ryan Sieg. That guy is impressing the heck out of me. Brandon Jones ends up ninth. Again, solid top 10 for him. 10th, Noah Gragson. 11th, Michael Annett. 12th, Austin Cindric. 13th, Justin Haley. 14th, Kaz Gralla. 15th, Jeremy Clements. 16th, Brandon Brown. 17th, Greg Alding. 18th, Ray Black Jr. 19th, Josh Williams. 20th, Matt Mills. 21st, BJ McLeod. 22nd, Alex LeBay. Stephen Light is 23rd. Garrett Smithley, 24th. Tommy Joe Martins, 25th. His actually last race in BJ McLeod's 99. He's actually going to move over to MBM to drive, I believe, the 66. Pretty soon in the 99 is going to go to Stephen Parsons, from what I hear. So interesting developments there. David Starr, 26th. 27th, Vinnie Miller. 28th, my namesake, CJ McLaughlin. 29th, Harrison Burton. 30th, Chad Fincham. 31st, Joey Gase. 32nd, Tyler Matthews. 33rd, Shane Lee. 34th, Timmy Hill. 35th, Bailey Curry. 36th, John Hunter Nemechek. 37th, Lanny Castle. And 38th is Carl Long. All right, the Cup Series race at New Hampshire this weekend. Again, started off with in the opening ceremonies with a tribute and a moment of silence to Nick Harrison, which was very, very cool, very touching. The big story going into this race was the absolute crash fests that the practice sessions and qualifying were. Two of the four Hendrick cars were backups. One of them was the backup to a backup and was actually somebody else's backup. It was insane. I think Larson was also in a backup. Newman was also in a backup. Hamlin. Everybody was just crashing and losing it into the corner in practice. And again, Alex Bowman wrecked his primary car, had to go to a backup car, which the backup car was actually the car that he dominated Phoenix in, subbing for Dale Jr. in 2016, and then crashed that in final practice and had to use Jimmy Johnson's backup car, which made the 88 look a little bit different because they had to take all of the 48 decals off and put the 88 decals on, but it was a black base instead of the typical Axalta blue, which made for a really good looking race car. Hopefully they make a diecast of that because that would be cool to have. But yeah, so tons of people in backup cars starting in the back of the field. And Brad Keselowski started on the pole, and Kyle Busch was leading by the end of turn 2. It was crazy how quickly he took the lead, but he didn't really get away for long because Keselowski tracked him down, and then Martin Truex tracked both of them down. And I mean, we had an intense lead battle early in the first stage, and it was cool to see. It was cool to see all of that, especially at a place like New Hampshire, which isn't really known for great racing or great moments. It was really cool to see an intense, crazy battle like that. Now, two guys who I wanted to highlight from earlier in this race were Jimmy Johnson in the 48 and Matt Benedetto in the 95. Both of them started in the top 10, and they were both hanging right in there. Matt Benedetto had a phenomenal day today. He ended up finishing 5th in this race, which was just outstanding for Levine Family Racing. They should be really proud of that run. And it wasn't a fluke. It wasn't like they fluked their way in there or had to count on pit strategy to get them there. They were there all day long, which was really, really cool. Lap traffic was definitely playing a factor in who was going to get the lead of this race, who was going to win, and how well they could work their way through lap traffic, how well lap traffic was able to work with them and get out of the way. But you had a lot of great battles, a lot of teammate fights. You saw Hendrick teammates not cutting each other some slack, Gibbs teammates not cutting each other any slack. It was a lot of great battles on track this weekend. Guys were points racing big time because you had all the guys on the bubble. I mean, Jimmy Johnson, Clint Boyer, Eric Jones, all these guys. Anytime that they would play radio communications, they'd be talking points, and they'd be talking, okay, do we need to play for the stages? Do we need to play for the race? Kind of where are all the guys that I'm fighting? Where are they running right now? It was definitely a points race for sure. Kyle Busch just ended up running away with it. Again, it was manageable leads, but he was just by far the dominant car in this race. Pit stops seemed crazy. Had a lot of guys making mistakes, and a lot of jumbling of the field via pit stops. Stage 2 end seemed pretty exciting with pit strategy jumbling. That running order up, Eric Almirola ends up kind of surprising his way into the stage win, hence the hat today. I mean, the start of stage 3, again, just with pit strategy, different guys staying out, different guys coming in. The whole entire field was all jumbled up, and everybody who had been up front at the end of stage 2 was now way in the back, and it was crazy. And the old adage rings true yet again for stage 3: cautions breed cautions, because once they started coming, they wouldn't stop. And it seemed like basically every single driver on the playoff bubble was having issues. Jimmy Johnson lost power steering, had an issue. Eric Jones was just about the only guy who had a decent day. Clint Boyer had issues. Ryan Newman had his issues, but still battled back for a good day. Daniel Suarez had issues. It was like everybody on the bubble had major issues this weekend. And stage 3, Denny Hamlin got out to the lead, and you're wondering if anybody's going to be able to touch him. And then we get a late caution, and Kevin Harvick gets out by basically not trusting his pit crew, stays out on old tires, and you're thinking there's no way that he's going to be able to hold off the 11 on his older tire, or on Hamlin's newer tires, and Hamlin tried there at the end. He tried to get into him and wasn't able to do it. And finally, we're over halfway through the season, and finally, Stewart-Haas Racing and Kevin Harvick have found victory lane. The winless streak is over. Again, we've gone this long into the season, and the team had not won in the Cup Series, and finally that monkey is off their backs. Kevin Harvick and Stewart-Haas Racing find themselves finally winners in 2019. It was a crazy day. Really bad day for Hendrick Motorsports all across the board. Again, the 9 and the 48 having some engine issues with water pumps and power steering and craziness there. Ironically, the two cars that had sort of kind of decent days were the two backups. William Byron ended up 12th, and Alex Bowman ended up 14th. So, I mean, salvageable, decent points day for William Byron, stays 12th in points. Alex Bowman obviously already locked into the playoffs with a win at Chicagoland. But again, Matt DiBenedetto, Matty D, D Burrito, Guido himself, just ran through every single nickname. He had a great day. Again, ends up 5th. What a day for Matt DiBenedetto and Levine Family Racing. Top 5. They've got more top 5s now than a lot of other big name drivers. But it was just an intense battle to the end of this race. Great race all around. Again, probably the most memorable race at New Hampshire that I can think of. It was a really great race all around. Let me go ahead and run through the finishing order of this race. Again, Kevin Harvick ends up taking the win. Denny Hamlin 2nd, Eric Jones 3rd, Ryan Blaney 4th. Matt DiBenedetto ends up 5th, Martin Truex Jr. 6th, Ryan Newman, pretty decent day, in 7th, Kyle Busch 8th, Joey Logano 9th, Brad Keselowski 10th, 11th is Eric Almirola, 12th is William Byron, 13th Paul Menard, 14th Alex Bowman, 15th Chris Buescher, 16th Ty Dillon, 17th Michael McDowell, 18th Kurt Busch, 19th Daniel Suarez, 20th Clinton Boyer, who really had a rough day. 21st, Ryan Preece. 22nd, Bubba Wallace. 23rd, Corey LaJoie. 24th, Matt Tifft. 25th, with all of the craziness, with all of the crashes, with all the cautions, Ross Chastain ends up 25th in this race for Premium Motorsports. Great day for him. 26th, Landon Castle. 27th, Ross's teammate Reed Sorensen. 28th, making his series debut, Andy Seiss, driving the 51 for Rick Ware Racing. 29th, Chase Elliott. Jimmy Johnson ends up 30th. Quentin Houff, 31st. 32nd, Austin Dillon. 33rd, Kyle Larson. 34th, David Reagan. 35th, making his series debut in the second Rick Ware Racing car, the 52, is Austin Terrio. 36th is Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And 37th is Daniel Hemrick. So definitely an eventful race, definitely an exciting race, definitely a bad race for a lot of guys who needed a good day. And it is definitely jumbled up the playoff grid. Jimmy Johnson is out. Ryan Newman is pretty solidly in. Still got 6 or 7 races left in the regular season. Plenty of time for this to jumble up even more. Guys that you think are safe, possibly a William Byron. A couple of bad days, and this thing can swing pretty dramatically either way. So definitely going to be fun to keep an eye on the playoff grid for the Cup Series coming up. Had a lot of different winners, and it's going to be a mad dash to the playoffs. So definitely going to be exciting to keep an eye on all of that. Next week, I believe the Truck Series is still off. But oh no, I take that back. The Truck Series is in action this weekend. So we've got all 3 series in action. Truck Series and the Cup Series are at Pocono. The Xfinity Series is at Iowa. And hopefully this weekend's Cup race is better than the last time we were at Pocono with this aero package. They're putting the PJ1 down. You guys remember how much I ranted after Pocono a couple of weeks ago because it was an awful, awful, awful race. Hopefully it's a little bit better this weekend, but yeah, should be. Hopefully it's somewhat exciting. And then the other 2 series, Iowa is always a great track in the Xfinity Series, and the Truck Series always puts on a show wherever they are. So going to be a mad dash to the playoffs in every series. Really starting to run out of time for some of these guys in the other series. So that's going to do it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I really appreciate your support. Really appreciate you guys watching my videos. Keep an eye out next week for my Pocono and Iowa recap. And yeah, that's going to do it for me. So take care, guys, and I will see y'all later.